Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about cutting your own hair. I am really excited about this video because I need a haircut so badly. Ever since I've lightened my hair just feels a lot more dry and brittle, so I definitely am in need of a haircut. So the haircut that I'm going to show you today is just going to be on myself, and this is a very basic haircut that I'm going to show you, just an easy way to do it at home by yourself if you don't have anything too crazy. If your perimeter is pretty much just straight across, we can kind of follow that guideline, and if you have long layers, I'll also show you how to do those as well, because I definitely need to trim mine. If you have a choppy bob or lob or a pixie cut, or if you have a very angled cut, this haircut may not necessarily be for you then. I don't want you to ruin what you've gotten done at the salon. So this haircut's pretty much just gonna be a trim just to keep your ends nice and clean, and if you don't have a super crazy haircut. So if you are trying to grow out your hair like I have been for a very long time, then I definitely suggest getting a haircut about every 8 weeks. I know you think, oh my gosh, no, I'm growing out my hair, I don't want to get a haircut, but your ends are just going to start breaking off if you don't take care of your hair and get haircuts. So I definitely suggest getting a haircut every 8 weeks if you're growing out your hair. I've probably pushed it a little bit. I've probably waited about 10 weeks. So I might need to take off a little bit more today than I would like. In a way, I'm just tempted to just cut 6 inches off of my hair. I kind of want to go a little bit shorter. My hair's just been driving me crazy lately. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. If you guys think it would look cute, let me know in the comments. It's something I'm really debating. I'm gonna go over with you guys what you're gonna need to do this. So first you're gonna need a pair of scissors. I have these Joelle scissors. I really love them. They are professional scissors. I showed you guys these in my video in how to cut your man's hair. So you're just gonna need a pair of hair cutting scissors. Also a comb, can't do this without a comb, and some clips, and a cape. And I think I also said this in how to cut your man's hair video. You're definitely gonna wanna wear closed-toed shoes for this, just for safety reasons. First of all, just because in case you dropped the scissors or anything, and also just because the hair can get everywhere and then it sticks to your socks and your feet and it's just kind of gross. So I always wear closed-toed shoes as well. So I really hope that you guys enjoy this video and that it helps you out, and hopefully you can save a little bit of money by doing this at home. So if you're excited to cut your own hair, then keep on watching. So when I'm cutting my own hair, I actually like to put the cape on backwards, so the longer part is in the back and the shorter part is in the front. It just makes it easier for me to use my hands. Yeah, I don't know, it's just easier. That's just what I always do. So I'm gonna try to explain to you guys how I cut my hair as easily as possible. I've never actually had to explain to somebody how I'm cutting the hair. So to me, in my mind, I just kind of think, oh, well, I'm just doing it and this is what I do. But I've never actually thought about it too much. I'm really gonna try to explain this in a very simple way, so I hope that works. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cut the perimeter of my hair. So how I'm gonna do that, I just parted my hair down the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to get a mirror out and make sure that each piece is on the right side. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, and I meant to tell you guys this before. I definitely suggest having dry, straight hair. This is about as straight as my hair gets. So, but I definitely suggest having dry hair just because you can actually see what you're doing and where your hair kind of naturally lays. When it's wet, it's much harder to see yourself, how much you really need to cut off or where your split ends are. So I definitely suggest just doing it dry. So now that your hair is parted down the middle and you're about to cut your perimeter, you just want to kind of decide how much you want to take off. And when you're doing that, you don't want to look down and do it. You want to look straight into the mirror. I have a mirror in front of me right now. So you really want to look straight into the mirror, because you're going to get a much straighter line. If you're looking down, you can get it a lot more crooked and you might not get every little piece that you want to get. All right, so about right where my fingers are at, that's the amount of hair that I want to cut off. I'm looking straight into the mirror as I'm doing this, so make sure you comb through everything, get it nice and straight, and then look at the piece of hair that you want to cut, and then just go ahead and take your scissors and trim that piece. Now, you don't want to look down when you're trying to figure out what piece of hair you want to cut, but once you get the piece in your finger, you can slightly tilt up your fingers this way, but just make sure that you're not moving the hair around and you're not pulling any of the hairs out of your finger. So once you get the hair in your hand that you want cut, you can move that up and then trim it off. There we go. So I'm cutting about 1 inch off today. And then I just like to comb through it and make sure I got every little piece that I wanted to get. All right, and you can already tell that looking at this side compared to this side just looks way healthier now compared to this side. So I'm ready to get this one trimmed. Now I know that I cut about 1 inch off of this side, so I'm just gonna want to make sure that I get it even so I don't have to go back to this side and cut this side. What I'm gonna do is I'm just going to look in the mirror and kind of line these two front pieces up. And now when I go ahead and cut this side, I have a guideline to go by to make sure that both sides are the same. So now this is the hair I just cut, so I'm just gonna line that up with everything over here. And then I just like to comb through and look at it and just make sure everything's even in there. All right, now my perimeter feels nice and even, so I'm gonna move on to the top of my head. All right, that already feels so much better. Now moving on to the layers, which is gonna be kind of the difficult part to explain. If you have a face frame like I do, I suggest cutting that first before you do the layers. So normally how I like to do this is I like to part my hair from the top of my head to about the middle of my ear and just get rid of everything behind the ear. And when I'm cutting my face frame, you can see how now this is all on an angle, framing my face. I just really like to follow the line that's already there and trim that. So how I'm gonna do that is instead of cutting the hair straight across, I'm just gonna kind of point cut into the hair. When you point cut into the hair, you're not making the line so blunt, you're just taking the hair and going up and cutting it. I'm gonna start with this small section in here. And I just like to get those hairs right in front of my face and then take my scissors and trim up into it. And a face frame is normally very fringy looking. It's not normally very blunt. So that's why I think it's best to just point cut into that area. All right, and then I'm just gonna do the same thing to the other side. And then you just kind of want to look at your face frame and make sure it's all even. And if you see any pieces that aren't even, then you can just go back, find that piece, and point cut into that again. Okay, so now I'm gonna move on to my layers. And when I do that, I like to just clip off one side. It just keeps it more organized and easier for me to see what I've already done. And because we've already cut our face frame, we can just leave that part out of this. Okay, after I have that clipped off, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna take a small section of my hair. I don't have a specific amount. If it's easier for you guys to think, okay, I'm gonna take 1 inch section of hair, then go ahead and do that. You don't have to take sections that small. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to part my hair again from behind the ear and pull that hair back. So you're just gonna take this section of hair, all of it. You're even gonna take all the way down to your ear. And when you bring it straight out, you can see that this is your layers right here, and this is your perimeter. This is your length. So if you're wanting to keep a lot of length on the bottom, then you definitely don't want to cut this underneath. You're just going to want to trim this area right through here. So if you cut your layers out here, just straight out, you're going to notice that when you're all done with it, that your length is going to be a little bit thinner than it was before. The higher you take it, your length will still be nice and thick. I like my length to be nice and thick, so I try to cut it a little bit higher. So I'm just going to bring it up. And then once I see that piece, I can see, okay, this is my length right here. I can see that this is my length right here, and this is all my layers. So the easiest way to not really make any mistakes and not make any of your mistakes noticeable is to point cut into the hair. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do with this. This is all my layers right here, and I'm just point cutting into that. As you notice, I didn't cut anything over here because that's my length. So I just point cut into this. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight across or anything. And then I just go ahead and let that down. And this is how it looks when I let it down. It just feels a lot healthier already. So after I cut that piece right there, I'm just gonna go ahead and clip that off. And I'm gonna take the next section. When you take sections, you just wanna make sure that you're taking them all the way from the top of your head all the way to the bottom. And that's a section. And then just go ahead and comb it out. And I'm lifting that straight up into the air. And then once I grab a hold of it, I'm gonna bring it down to show you guys. So as you can see, this is my length right here, and this is my layers. So I'm gonna go ahead and point cut into that again. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a perfect line straight across because layers normally just blend really nicely into the hair. Okay, and now we have another section done that we can add into our clip. So you're just gonna go ahead and do this all the way around your head. Looks like I have one more section until I get to this side. So this is the back. So I'm just, as you can see, I'm just combing that all up. And I'm just bringing it to the front so I can see it. All right, and I'm all done with this section over here. So now just a quick way to make sure that you have everything even in your layers. I like to just take the top section of my head right here, because this is pretty much all of my length right here, and make sure that this is nice and even on top. And if you see any pieces that need to be trimmed, you can just go in with your scissors and point cut into that. And now everything is nice and even. And now that we have that side done, I'm just gonna go ahead and clip this side off now. And move on to the other side and do the exact same thing. Just clipping off my face frame, because we've already cut that, so there's no reason to cut it again. And then I'm just gonna go in and start taking my sections all the way from the top of my head to the bottom. Bring it straight up, and then sometimes your length will even just kind of fall out of it, which is totally fine. But I can see this is my length right here, and these are my layers. Alright, now I'm going to let down this side, and you can just go ahead and look at everything in the mirror, make sure everything looks even. And then a nice way to just check and make sure that both sides are even of your layers is to take that top crown section of your head and lift it up and make sure everything's even. And your face frame might fall down, which is totally fine, because those pieces are normally shorter, but you're just gonna lift it up and make sure everything is even. And as you can see, it looks like I can trim a little bit off over here. And that is just a nice quick way to just check over your work. Alright guys, and this is it. This is the end result of my hair. You can tell it's not a whole lot different, but I wasn't wanting anything different today at least. I just wanted to give it a nice, good, healthy trim, and you can tell everything blends really nicely. The layers blend really nicely into everything, and my length is just a little bit shorter, but everything is nice and even. So I'm so glad that I did this video for you guys. I was dying for a haircut. So I really hope that it helped you guys and that you can try this out at home. Let me know in the comments if you do, or if you have any questions at all. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.